Hello everyone and welcome to the first episode of the Miami Dolphins franchise, or what was going to be the franchise. I'll explain that sentence in a little bit, and also apologies for the audio in this video if it's not quite as clear as my last few. That's because my mic is all sorts of broke, and I filmed this off my phone. So that's why this is. Anyway, let's get right into this. The clips I'm showing you right now is actually of the fourth preseason game, and I know I said I wasn't going to film them, but I did this just so I could have extra footage to talk over. In the meantime, let's talk about the preseason. And while I think parts of it was enjoyable for me, I also think it was also just kind of frustrating. Mostly because I couldn't figure out what kind of settings I really wanted for it. The first game was against the New York Jets, and we ended up losing that game by quite a bit, which is fine. It was my first game playing in a while, and that's not a problem. But I thought my offense I couldn't move my offense at all. And I thought that was a problem.
Barlow carries it for a third time in a row.
So I ended up changing that a little bit, and I liked it more in the rest of the preseason games. And I wanted it to be not so difficult that it was impossible to do anything, but not too easy where I was scoring every play, because I hate when that happens. I want a realistic thing. And as you can see right here, Brandon Lloyd takes it for a touchdown on our defense. Which is rare, actually, because a problem I was running into after I fixed my offense, I got those sliders to where I wanted it to be, but the problem was the CPU team, they didn't have a good offense at all, and I'm not 100% sure why that was happening. You'll see later on in the video when I show you the sliders I'm working with. I tried everything here, and I could not get it where I wanted it to. I'm very not happy with this, which is why I think this franchise is either not going to happen or is going to be tweaked a little bit. Because I can't... You'll see why in a little bit when we play the first game versus the Tennessee Titans. But yeah, anyway, we ended up winning the second game in the preseason by 44 to 14 or something like that. And Brad Johnson, because we played the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, Brad Johnson threw 6 interceptions in that game, which was just crazy. And then the next game, the quarterback threw 5 interceptions. And I kept trying to tweak the sliders, as there you see me throwing an interception, which actually didn't happen too much. It happened some, but it was mostly just me throwing into coverage like I shouldn't be doing, and not necessarily, interception that you'd see in Madden, where, you don't think it should count as an interception, but it is. And as you can see there, Kevin Barlow takes it in for a touchdown to make it 14-0 in this game. And I was really happy with this game, actually. Even though we weren't doing too good here, as you can see, I was getting frustrated with this. I don't know how he dropped this. This was so dumb. But even though I was getting frustrated with my offense, I thought it wasn't just... not being able to move the ball at all, because I could a little bit. It was just my offense isn't that good, and that's how it should be. And for those of you who just saw that and went, what just happened there? There was a bad pass. It was knocked down at the line. As you can see, it was a lot of drops here, but I was able to move the ball at least a little bit, for a while there, and Tim Ratty throws into coverage here, and Patrick Surtain comes up with the interception and runs it all the way back for a Miami Dolphins touchdown. And that's pretty much where I stopped filming this game. I also just kind of simmed the rest of it because I was happy with what was happening there. As you can see, the Eagles, that was the McNabb, what I was talking about earlier, where he threw 5 interceptions. Then we went to the depth chart, set it a little bit here, put A.J. Feely as the starter, and Sammy Knight, I was really excited for, because he had an outstanding preseason. And going into the first play of the season is a catch, and look who it is, Sammy Knight, who gets the tackle there on Derek Mason, who, keep an eye out for him, because he had a huge game in week 1 versus us. 3rd and 9 here, and he throws incomplete, and I was wondering what happened because it looked like he was wide open. If I went to the instant replay, and this is what happened. I don't know how he dropped that. That was horrible. And then A.J. Feely for our first down after 2 runs that time. David Boston. That was a nice reception. On another first down here. The next play, actually, Feely tight window, but completes it to Randy McMichael. And I was excited for him as well because he also did good in the preseason. Really, I liked my team. I really did, other than the quarterback situation, which I don't love, mostly because A.J. Feely actually got hurt in the preseason a little bit, and he was fine to start this game. But I played a lot with Jay Fiedler, and I actually kind of liked him, but I decided to go with Feely here, and as you can see, an incomplete pass brings up the first points of the year for the Miami Dolphins, being a 47-yard field goal attempt, which was good. Moving on, 3rd and 3 here, and I don't know what happened there, but it was a very bad pass from Steve McNair. And the Dolphins continuing on their march here. Ricky Williams, a huge loss, and I was disappointed with the rushing game here because in the preseason it was a little bit up and down, but I really expected week 1 to be, the time for Ricky Williams to shine, and it didn't quite happen. And also, there was a lot of sacks in this game. But what is good, at least for me, is that even though our rushing game didn't really get going, neither did the Tennessee Titans. They had a really hard time as well, and as you can see, Mason dropping this play, which brings up a 3rd and 3 for the Tennessee Titans.
More short-handed receivers in the game. Wow.
Bringing across the middle, McNair dropping back, throwing, and complete short pass. That was a nice one, and look who it is. It's another Derek Mason sighting. McNair, 1st and 10, dropping back to pass. Quick throw, and it's going to be caught. And this is something where I noticed that a lot of the completions McNair had this game were, super quick to the point where I'm not sure how closely, I would have had to react super fast in order to actually do something. And there you go. It's the first sack of the season for Jason Taylor. I was really excited for him. He had a really good preseason. And as you can see right here, just barely makes it in, but we are now tied 3-3 with 1 minute and 16 seconds left in the first quarter. Winding down the first here was a quick throw into coverage, which not the best idea in this game, but McMichael did come up with the reception there. 23 seconds now, we jump forward again, first quarter, and a bad throw by Feely that really should have been intercepted. Very glad it wasn't. And now, on a 3rd and 11, a quick throw to Mins, but he's not going to be able to pick up the first down. And that is the end of the first quarter, with the Titans and Dolphins tied 3-3. Jumping ahead a little here, McNair, this play just... You can see how much struggles he's had here, throwing to absolutely nobody there. And then this play, an interception that time by Madison.
Intercepted. Stopped at the 30.
And this really was something that I was trying to avoid. 1 interception is fine, 2 is fine. I would even accept 3. But I didn't want it to turn into another 6 interceptions like with Brad Johnson, because that's just not realistic, and that's not at all what I want for this series. I want a realistic playing football game, and that's my goal with this. And as you see, Feely roll out and firing, touchdown to Mins, the first touchdown of the Miami Dolphin 2004 season. And it comes off of a play action to not the person I was expecting. Mins is not our best receiver, not even by a long shot, but he actually played really good in this game, more than I think he played for most of the preseason. As you can see, another incomplete pass from McNair. He's just not having a good game, and he really didn't for the rest of the game here. 2nd and 10, and he drops it back to pass, looking, firing, and barely gets it complete. But it was complete, so that is good for the Titans. Brings up a 2nd and 10 after a nothing run. And like I said, their running game also didn't really get going in this game much at all. So it was mostly a passing game, which turned out to be a bad thing for the Titans, as you can see. Well, as you will see. And I know I'm skipping around a little here, but just keep in mind, a lot of these plays that I'm skipping were either very short runs, like this play is right here, or incomplete passes. I didn't want to skip too much of anything, but as you can see, look at Eddie George's numbers here. They're not very good. And when you bring up a 3rd and 11 and an interception, Zach Thomas over the middle. That was a very nice play. I'm actually okay with this interception because it was just a nice play by Thomas. And as you can see here, I adjusted the difficulty a little because I was like, okay, please stop throwing interceptions. This is enough. Because I didn't want it to turn into another huge thing like the last time. 3rd and 11 here, Feely back to pass, looking, and sacked yet again. The offensive line is definitely a problem with this team, and it would definitely need some retooling in the future in order to be successful. 1st and 10 here, and yet another pass that really should have been intercepted. It just bounced off his hands. He's very lucky. But Eddie George, this is his biggest run of the game right here. Sanu tries to push him out twice, and eventually does. I think not only is it the biggest run, it might be up there with the biggest play they had all day. But as you can see on the very next play, we get back to stopping him, which is nice. And then on 2nd and 10, McNair throws one, which is complete to the tight end, his only reception of the game.
Finally dropped at the 20.
1st and 10 here, McNair back to pass, looking, firing, and that one was off the hands of Derek Mason. Don't know why he dropped that one. That was very wide open for him there. In a 2nd and 10 now, and McNair, just a horrible throw. Don't know where he was throwing, but it was right to Sammy Knight, one of the better defenders we have on our team. I really liked him in the preseason. He really shined, both with interceptions and just tackles in general. And I think if I were to continue this series, he would be a very key person to focus on here. And Feely, I'm actually surprised with how good he was in this game. He didn't get to play much in the preseason, and he really didn't play spectacular in the preseason. Like, he was fine, but it wasn't anything to write home about. I think Fiedler actually did better in the 2 games he played, and that one should have been intercepted, definitely. In a 3rd and 7 here for Feely, drops back, looking, and on the run gets sacked because, again, nobody was open. And I can't really tell 100% if all of the sacks are just the offensive line being bad or the wide receivers not being able to get separation. I think it might be a mix of the two, because a lot of those interceptions I went and checked and there was just no one open. And yet again, this play is just ridiculous. I don't know how that happened. That's like a once in 10 years play right there, and Sammy Knight with his 2nd interception in the game. And McNair, you can see, is getting frustrated, and not only is McNair frustrated, I was too. I went back into the settings, lowered my coverage, and upped the passing even more to all the way up. And I don't know if you saw it earlier, but the interception slider is all the way down. I did not want that many interceptions here. And AJ Feely drops back, and a big sack there. 3rd and 17, and that is Hall's 3rd sack of the first half. He had a really good game, actually. And across the field, Thompson's first reception was just short of the first down, and I figured, why not just go for it here, because it was getting the end of the first half. It was a 4th down. It didn't really matter. 1 second left. I just wanted to try a Hail Mary, and yet again, another sack. Hall again. It was bad. There wasn't even time for me to even, throw a Hail Mary down the field. And he obviously earns the Boomer halftime hero with 3 sacks. I don't dispute that at all. I really think he was good. And I wanted to come out second half, establish this run, because that was going to be our identity. I really wanted to be a run-oriented team, especially since Ricky Williams is, like 90 overall. And he did do a little bit better at the beginning of the second half. And as you can see, I decided to run with AJ Feely here, which isn't normal, but I did get the first down. And then I went to pass and found Mins, who I was really impressed with him this game. He has, at this point, 4 receptions for 49 yards. I think he ended up with 60-something on the game. He was good. I think he way outperformed his overall. Ricky Williams here, you can see I'm frustrated with how little he was able to produce this game. I think it was just product of maybe a good defensive line for Tennessee, maybe just a bad day. He did have like 100. He had 70 yards in one preseason game and 100 in another. So it's not like he didn't do anything for me. And that was a nice first down there for Thompson, who didn't have the impact I wanted him to this game. He is actually our third receiver, not Mins, but Mins stepped up in this game. In Boston, he had a great first 2 games of the preseason, and then nothing after that. And this game, he was very average. He wasn't great, but he was pretty good, and that one was so close. But this is the type of play you just have to have better awareness in the NFL. And I know Chambers is young in this game, but he definitely would need to work on that in the series going forward. That's a bad read by me. Shouldn't have thrown that one. That really should have been picked off. And Mark gets another opportunity to kick a field goal. Which Miami goes up 13-3 now. And look at McNair's stats. He already had 4 going into the second half. I was very much not happy with that, but I was like, okay, I guess quarterbacks have bad games every once in a while. On that play, he was just unblocked right there, 93. And he was okay. He was mostly a SWAT ball player. Like, I noticed he had a lot of SWAT balls in the preseason, and yet again, just another interception. And I don't know what's going on here, because these CPU quarterbacks, all of them, have just made some boneheaded, dumb decisions. And look at their slider. It's all the way up. What else am I supposed to do with this? I moved the coverage down again. And later on in the game, I moved it down to absolutely 0. So that the coverage skills on me were 0. The passing for the CPU quarterback was all the way up, and the interception slider was all the way down. And it still didn't really seem to do anything. It's like the sliders weren't really working. Eddie George, however, was working in short yardage situations in this game. He didn't have a lot of great plays, and that one, I mean, come on, McNair. That was like a gift right to him that he just dropped. And this one, another throw into a bad throw into coverage, but at least this time it was complete. Derek Mason, who ended up with like 100-something yards on this game. And then just a bad interception. Howard was in the right place, right time, and runs it back for the second pick 6 of the game. Another just a head-scratching decision from Steve McNair. Dolphins go up here 27-0. This is when I lower the coverage all the way down. And I didn't want to cut this because I want to show you, look, I don't like this. I really, really wanted to have a realistic playing game, and it just wasn't happening. But Mason there, biggest play of the game by far for the Titans. They're down 27-3 here, late third quarter. They're looking to score. McNair, quick throw, incomplete pass. And I really just got fed up with this. I ended up simming the rest of the game. We ended up winning 27-13. And I decided to quit. You have no idea how mad I was. I was so frustrated. I had just spent 50 minutes filming all of this, and it just wasn't working out for me. Look at these sliders. What else am I supposed to do? I did decide to delete this. Maybe I'll continue it with me not playing the games, with just rebuild, but really, I mean, there was no excuse for 4 interceptions multiple times. It really just makes me mad, and I'm sorry if you're looking forward to this in a series, but I just can't do it because it's not realistic, and that's not what I'm looking for. 6 interceptions per game, it just isn't fun for me. And I was this mad and I was winning. Like, I didn't think that was possible, but apparently it is. So thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next episode. Goodbye!